About that deadly home invasion that happened in Lawrenceville on Monday morning. It all happened on Red Bark Court. A homeowner opened fire on an intruder while their house was surrounded by police. But about an hour ago, police identified that intruder as 25-year-old Kylan Sunday of Ohio. And our Caitlin Pratt has the latest.
A decision by an intruder, say police here in Gwinnett County, to break into a Lawrenceville home ended up being a deadly one. Let's take it to the scene in Lawrenceville. This all playing out yesterday morning before the sun came up when police swarmed the area here on Red Bark Court. Residents inside called police for help after they heard that person breaking in through the back of that establishment, and as officers surrounded the home, started to go inside. The homeowner, they say, opened fire, killing that intruder. Police are calling this a burglary in progress, and neighbors, rattled by it all, are calling this a wake-up call.
It's disturbing because you wouldn't think that would happen so very close to where you live.
It's scary, you know, especially it's like how many houses away, so it's super scary.
As for why he chose this house, that question still not answered. If you have any information that can help detectives here in Gwinnett County, go ahead and contact Crime Stoppers. You may remain anonymous. That's the latest here outside the Central Precinct. I'm Caitlin Pratt, Fox 5 News.
Well, over in DeKalb County now, police are looking for 3 men caught on doorbell video shooting a woman as she pulled up at her home. We first brought you this story yesterday, along with that doorbell video. The police are hoping will help them catch these 3 suspects. So our Brittany Edney has the very latest on this, more in the search for those suspects.
Police are sharing a portion of that video in the hope that someone might be able to help identify those suspects and turn them in. Take a look at this doorbell footage. It shows the burglary in progress and captures the moment 36-year-old Anna Scott pulled up to the house in her Jeep. It looks like one suspect was armed with a crowbar and another with a gun. Police say one of the men then opened fire. A neighbor who wanted their identity protected describes what they heard.
It was gunshots, clearly. Rapid gunshots. Like that. And screeching in the car.
It happened Saturday night on Citation Drive. Police say Scott may have seen 3 suspected burglars on her doorbell camera trying to break into her home before confronting them. Neighbors say they're in disbelief and they hope these killers are brought to justice.
We should find them as quick as possible. As quick as possible, you know, for somebody to just kill an innocent person.
I want you to take a moment, look at your screen and see if you recognize this person. This screenshot shows a straight-on look at their face. If you have any idea about who that may be, you are asked to contact DeKalb County Police. You can also do that anonymously as well. All you need to do is text DKPD to the number 847-411 and then follow that up with your tip. In DeKalb County, I'm Brittany Edney for Fox Local.
Well, to Dalton, actually, we're going to check in with Jonathan Stacy, our meteorologist, who is joining us with a check of the forecast. So, Jonathan, good to see you. Good morning.
Good to see you.
Hi.
A smooth start to the morning, plenty of sunshine.
That's true.
It helps us take off on a pretty nice start.
Yeah, and this is the first full day of fall, right?
The first full day of fall is all fall all day.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we kind of split the day in half as we transition out of summer, but it still feels like we are in the midst of the muggy season because the temperatures are high and the dew points are high as well. And that really hasn't been a combo that we haven't capitalized on much. Really, September and a lot of August have featured temperatures that have been below average. Yeah. And on the days when we've been really warm, the dew points have actually been a little bit lower. So this is like summer trying to sneak back in, but we're going to push it out. And it's going to come by way of a front that's going to move through. So let's take a look at what's on the menu for this Tuesday. We'll look for partly cloudy skies throughout the day. And in some areas, you're going to get more sunshine. And those areas are going to be to the south of the metro area, south side, Jonesboro, all the way down to, say, Upson County, going out east, Lake Country. You're going to get plenty of sunshine. Even if you don't see the sun right now, don't be dismayed. It's coming out as we get deeper into the day. Where the sun may not be so brilliant in showing off its rays will be across the far northern part of the state. We're talking about North Georgia, and that's where your rain chances are best today. And this is why we'll take a big look out now at a storm system that is brewing up to the north and to the west of North Georgia here. So as you can see, I think we're going to get them moving. Here we go. Okay, Fox 5 Live Viper radar now showing that storms are being pushed out across the Great Plains and even into the Great Lakes and up the I-95 into the interior northeast. We have showers and storms. Not anything really aggressive, at least, but we're going to watch the system as it slowly creeps to the south and to the east. There's a complex that's basically teetering the state lines of Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee, and that energy is trying to pester us here in North Georgia. So we're going to keep our eyes on it as we go throughout the day. I don't think it's going to be a really big problem, but there could be some possible wind damage, and there's even a low-end risk for some tornadoes. So I know that's an area that you know very well, across Arkansas, going into eastern portions of Oklahoma, also getting in on the activity. And anytime you're flying out to DFW, I'm always on guard.
Sure.
A storm 100 miles away from DFW can lead to some ground delays and ground stops there. So if you are traveling out west, keep that in mind. As we go through the next 24-hour period, we're going to see that storm threat start to move a little bit to the east across the Tennessee River Valley, going up into the Ohio River Valley. And then by Thursday, that's really where North Georgia enters the chat. And you can see here we have a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe storms. So we're going to get some water. And so many of you are excited about that because it's been a while since we've had some sizable rainfall in our neck of the woods here. But you see green is the most plentiful color on the map. And that's why, or that indicates that we're not going to get much rain. We're going to get something, but we're going to just get a little of something. We're looking at amounts on the either side of maybe a ½ inch. Your greater amounts over the next 5-day period will be along the state line of Tennessee, North Carolina, and of course, Georgia. Our mountain communities, you're already getting rain in some cases. You're going to likely get some more as we get deeper out into it. We can't see a live look out at the airport, but the current temperature has already risen to 80 degrees. As we go throughout the day, we're going to likely tap 90 degrees, and with that, we'll have about a 20% chance for rain. You can see a few little spot showers there, but the strong stuff, once again, in terms of coverage and activity, that really holds off and comes tomorrow night, and then it takes us through the day Thursday. By Friday, we're looking better, but we're still not out of the woods. I think that Saturday and Sunday will be recoverable. What we won't recover are temperatures in the 90s. After those fronts pass through, we will definitely cool things down, and it will finally feel like early fall.
It works for me. I think it works for a lot of folks. So good to see that.
About that life.
Yes. Let me ask you really quickly, a little bit later in the show, I've got an interview talking with the a meteorologist about Hurricane Gabrielle.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
So we're watching Gabrielle at this point. Are you familiar with the Azores, the islands out there that are off the coast of Portugal? They're the area of concern. And so that tells us that's good news for anybody who's here on the East Coast, Southeast, the Gulf. We're not a problem, or Gabrielle is not a problem for us. We're not in a line of danger to any degree. However, there are a couple storms that are basically riding the coattail, and I call them storms, and sometimes we have to get kind of a little picky with the terminology because we start out as a tropical cyclone or a mess of storms, and then we're upgraded to depression, and then we become a tropical storm. But what we really do is have a cluster of storms. In fact, I think I can show you this here on the fly, at least. This may not be exactly.
Look at you, putting you on the point.
You kind of make
on the spot a little bit.
Work on the flash here. But you can see that there are 2 other areas of greater concern that are just to the south. And Gabrielle is a major hurricane at this point. But once again, its curvature, its movement, its progression to the north and eventually back out to the east puts us in the safe zone. We'll be watching these 2 other bubbles here and clusters of storms that are really tracking to the east or to the west across the Atlantic, but it looks like they're going to make that early curve too. So I won't say that the storm season is quiet, but there are a lot of misses more than hits, and we're glad about that.
Yes, and happy it's missing us.
Preparing for this time last year.
Right, it's been a year. Definitely.
And a year of recovery for so many people.
Yes. Jonathan, thank you so much. We appreciate this. I will let you step out to get back to work because we're keeping Jonathan busy around here. But I want to take you right now to Dalton. That's where a couple is facing some murder charges after police say their toddler died while buckled in a car seat inside of their home. Dalton police served warrants on Monday for 26-year-old Kirsten Schmidt and 30-year-old Anthony Pedigo at their home just off of Highway 41. 22-month-old Grayson died back on June 5th. Police say he was left unattended, buckled into that car seat inside of their home. So the parents called 911 after they found Grayson unresponsive in the car seat. Ambulance showed up, took him to the hospital. Grayson did not make it, though. But according to police, Schmidt and Pedigo said they were in the bedroom for about 30 to 40 minutes where Grayson was left unattended. They came out, they found him. They say he was unresponsive. Police say that his injuries indicated that he died with a seat belt wrapped around his neck. Schmidt and Pedigo both face second-degree murder charges and second-degree cruelty to children charges there as well. So we'll keep you updated on that case. Well, let's get now to a big story that we're following this morning. The latest on this, President Trump speaking before the United Nations General Assembly. So in that address, he touted what he believes to be his second-term foreign policy achievement. So that was a big part of the conversation there. He started that at 10 o'clock, so wrapped up not too long ago. We've got a snippet of that speech we want you to hear. Here it is.
6 years have passed since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on 2 continents. An era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years of weakness, lawlessness, and radicalism under the last administration delivered our nation into a repeated set of disasters. 1 year ago, our country was in deep trouble, but today, just 8 months into my administration, we are the hottest country anywhere in the world, and there is no other country even close. America is blessed with the strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation on the face of the earth. This is indeed the golden age of America. We are rapidly reversing the economic calamity we inherited from the previous administration, including ruinous price increases and record-setting inflation like we've never had before. Under my leadership, energy costs are down, gasoline prices are down, grocery prices are down, mortgage rates are down, and inflation has been defeated. The only thing that's up is the stock market, which just hit a record high. In fact, it hit a record high 48 times in the last short period of time. Growth is surging, manufacturing is booming. The stock market, as I said, is doing better than it's ever done, and all of you in this room benefit by that. Almost everybody. And importantly, workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? In 4 years of President Biden, we had less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States. In just 8 months since I took office, we have secured commitments and money already paid for $17 trillion. Think of it, 4 years, less than $1 trillion, 8 months, much more than $17 trillion is being invested in the United States, and it's now pouring in from all parts of the world. We've implemented the largest tax cuts in American history and the largest regulation cuts in American history. Making this.
You're hearing President Trump there addressing the UN General Assembly in New York. And while he's there, the president is also expected to meet with leadership of Ukraine, Argentina, and the European Union, among others. So we, of course, are following that for you very closely. But still ahead this morning, the trial continues for the man accused of killing 8-year-old Sequoia Turner. We're going to take you inside of the courtroom right after this. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday morning. So the trial continues today for the man accused of killing 8-year-old Sequoia Turner. That trial continues. Again, Sequoia Turner was shot and killed back in 2020. She was riding in a car with family. It all happened near the scene of citywide protest over police shooting. So Julian Conley is facing charges including malice murder, felony murder among the charges, along with gang-related offenses. That trial expected to conclude by the end of the week. So we do have a camera that's in the courtroom now. Let's listen in on those proceedings.
In magazines and boxed and bagged.
And were you the person in charge of collecting that evidence?
I assisted along with the other officers.
And when you collect evidence, do you do what's called a property log?
I do.
And show what's been marked in State's Exhibit 32A. 132A. You recognize that?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's a list of property that was collected for evidence purposes.
In regards to this style?
Correct.
Have there been any additions or deletions to that?
Not to my knowledge.
I'd ask the State's Exhibit 132 be admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
I have no objection to
132A.
No objection to 132A, Your Honor.
Okay, it's admitted.
And can you tell, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, exactly what all you recovered?
So we recovered a tan military-style backpack. Located within were several handguns, magazines, ammunition, I think 2 masks, and latex and regular gloves.
And I understand what's been marked as State's Exhibit 136. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 136?
Yes.
And what is State's 136?
That was the bag that the firearms, ammunition, and Mr. Connolly's ID was located in.
That was going to be my next question. Did you know who owned that bag?
Yeah. Yes.
How were you able to determine who owned that particular bag?
We found an ID for Mr. Connolly along with a couple other IDs, and he had stated that it was his bag.
And I'm sure what's been marked as State's Exhibit 137.
I have some of.
Okay. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 137?
Yes.
And what is State's 137?
It is a pair of gloves, masks, and a red bandana.
And if you could open up, are you able to see all those objects?
Yes.
I haven't opened it up?
Yes.
And that was found inside of State's 136, the book bag that belonged to Mr. Connolly.
That is correct.
And State's 135?
Do you want me to open it or?
Yes, if you could open it. And let me know if you recognize it.
Yeah, they were a real ID for a second person as well as an ID with that person's name and Mr. Connolly's picture on it. So it was improper.
Changes to that, to those items, those 2 items as part of State's 137.
Not that I can tell.
And you indicated that there was a real ID. 135. I misspoke.
Yes, it's a real ID for Reginald Lane, as well as an ID with Reginald Lane's name on it, as well as Mr. Connolly's picture.
Fake ID.
Correct.
I asked the State's Exhibit 135.
135?
No objection to 135.
It's admitted and you can produce. If there are any weapons, have they been made safe?
Yes, there are 2 weapons, Your Honor. They have been made safe.
Okay. Okay.
You can look at States 134, 133, 134, and 139. Let me know if you recognize it. Yes, if you could go ahead. That's case 139.
Yeah, they were the two firearms, one a Glock 33.
States Exhibit 133, you recognize that?
Yes, it is the Glock handgun that was located inside the bag.
And States Exhibit 134, you recognize that?
Yeah, it was a HK VP9 also located in the bag.
And States 139, I believe?
Yeah, it's a box of 6-hour ammunition, 9mm.
States Exhibit 134, 133, 134, 139.
Objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
They're admitted and you can produce.
Now let me ask you, the call, did you receive, so we have the two guns, are there magazines in States 133 and 134 as well?
Yes.
Were they fully loaded magazines?
From what I recall, I believe that they were, yes.
And then in regards to the property sheet, besides these two weapons, the book bags, ammunition in States 139, you don't report any smoke bombs at all?
Yes, 2 smoke bombs that were then turned over to the bombs team.
And do you know what happened to those smoke bombs after it's turned over to the bomb squad team?
I'm not privy to their procedure, but I would assume that they're destroyed.
As you look at States 138, and once you recognize it, you can cut it open and place the items inside 138. You recognize States 138?
Yes.
How do you recognize it?
There were magazines and ammunition located inside the bag.
When you change
Well, this is inside the courtroom of the murder trial of Julian Conley, the man accused of killing 8-year-old Sequoia Turner back in 2020. And we saw evidence being shown there on the stand. There was ammunition. There was some clothing as well. Looked like a first aid box there at the very end. Didn't catch exactly what they were doing with that. But just going into detail on, what was recognized through some of those evidence pieces that were found there on the scene and that the suspect was wearing as well. So a little bit more on this. Another element, Julian Conley's co-defendant, Jerian McKinney, entered an Alford plea earlier this month. So basically it acknowledged to prosecutors that they had enough evidence to convict him while maintaining his innocence. McKinney was sentenced to 40 years in prison. So again, this trial is expected to run through the end of the week, and we will keep you posted on that every step of the way. But want to get you to some other headlines that we're following for you this morning. Today, we learned that a Bartow County bus driver is being charged with driving under the influence while operating a school bus. This happened last week. So we checked jail records. 51-year-old Lori Hageman of Adairsville has a long list of charges, including driving a school bus under the influence and numerous counts of reckless conduct as well. Records also show that Hageman was released from jail yesterday, but according to some published reports, Bartow County school leaders have issued a statement that said no one was hurt, no students were hurt, and Hageman has been removed from the assigned bus route. And over in Troup County, a school bus monitor also had a run-in with the law. According to a statement that was released by the Troup County school system, that monitor was arrested yesterday. They say that someone reported that monitor for showing inappropriate images to students on a cell phone. A suspect's name in this case has not been released, but we will definitely let you know whenever we get that information. Meanwhile, a viral video or photo, that is, that we're choosing not to show you. Well, it includes 5 people. They're dressed entirely in black. One man is shirtless, and most of them have their skin painted black, their faces painted black. Some are even wearing Afro-style wigs. But according to the principal, none of them are actually students at the school. Now, Representative Derek Johnson is saying someone needs to be held accountable for this blackface incident. He says there has to be a clear path forward. You see him there speaking in a news conference. Our cameras were there for the press conference yesterday evening, so let's listen into what was said.
Good afternoon. My name is State Representative Derek Jackson. I represent the 68th District. We are here today because of the deep hurt and disharmony caused by the recent racial incident at a recent volleyball game. The presence of blackface was an act of profound insensitivity, and the Fayette County school system failure to address it is unacceptable. The school system has allowed ambiguity in its policies to be an excuse for inaction. We refuse to ignore the very real pain this has created. A policy is useless if it is not enforced. And our school system has failed its most basic responsibility to our children. This is not a time for us to wait on legalistic and definitions of bureaucratic procedures. This is time for the superintendent to lead. We are here to demand that the superintendent take immediate and decisive action and implement disciplinary measures to those involved, and for the school board to work to amend the policies to keep this from happening ever again. We must never sweep racial incidents in our schools under the rug. Our students deserve to feel respected and protected, and we ask that the superintendent to stand up and promote empathy and understanding and respect for all cultures. We will not stop until every child in our community feels safe, valued, and respected. This issue must be addressed now with the accountability and a clear path forward.
A decision by
We want to take you now to news of a water main break. This is happening in Buckhead. Let's take a live look at that. This is happening in Buckhead again. Howell Mill and Roberta is what we're told. So you see there, it looks like it's covered up a good portion of the road being blocked off right now to keep folks off of that while they can get that repaired. Again, this is happening in Buckhead. So we just got news of this. We don't have really any details at this point on what happened, how long it should take to get this cleared up, or how long that road may be impacted. But we will definitely stay on top of this. We're following this, help you work your way around it. Again, this is a water main break that's happening in Buckhead at Howell Mill and Roberta in Buckhead. So stick around for more details on that. We will keep you posted. In the meantime, we're back right after this. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Well, the Federal Reserve has announced a highly anticipated interest rate cut. It's the first one in a year. So from mortgages to credit cards, savings accounts to retirement planning, these changes will certainly impact you. So this morning we have finance pro Mark Henry. He is founder and CEO of Alloy Wealth Management, joining us to break down what we can expect to see from these changes. So Mark, good morning, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay, so first, let's start by you just giving us a short breakdown on what this change is and how we can expect, how big of an impact we can expect this to have, Mark.
Yeah, so, finally, after December, it's been the last time we had a rate cut, and many experts believed it should have already happened. Some people said it was political. Who knows? Bottom line is it finally happened, and we got a quarter-point cut. Now, I personally was hoping for a bigger one, as a lot of people were. But it's done, and so the Fed has jumped in, cut the Fed rate. So what does that really mean, though? A lot of questions I'm getting are like, well, will it be a good time to buy a house? Well, the Fed rate does not actually tie directly to what your housing rate's going to be. So, in fact, the last time the Fed cut, we actually saw housing rates go up a little bit after the cut. We don't expect that this time, and we may actually see them come down a little bit. But things like your second mortgage, HELOCs, adjustable rate, interest rate loans on mortgages, those would all hopefully come down a little bit, and they will, because they typically tie directly to that.
I was going to ask you then if this could possibly help the stalling housing market a little bit, if we expect to see there, some changes come from this.
We sure want to see that, and I don't think it's going to have a big effect right now. But most experts believe we'll see another rate cut before the end of the year. And I think then you would probably, potentially, you would see the housing rates start to fall into the 5s. They're currently a little over 6, and we want to get them into the 5s. It would really help the market a lot.
So, Mark, let's talk about the stock market. How is that reacting to news of this change? What are we seeing there?
Well, it's pretty funny. So the actual day of the notice, we saw for the first time in a long time, in fact, only 26 times in history, 100 years, have we seen all 4 indexes hit a new high. But then we've seen a little drops and stuff. That's typically profit taking. But at the end of the day, the market was expecting this. It was already built in, and that's why you saw the market close with highs on the day of the announcement. And now you're seeing what markets do, which is go up and down.
Okay, so we can definitely, that's something that we can expect to see. Let's talk about this. As I was reading up on this, something that kept coming up was for savers. Does this mean lower returns on the money that they have set aside? I mean, what are we seeing as far as that goes?
Yeah, so we see that both with spenders and savers, this can be addressed. And what I mean by that is for savings rates, your high yield savings accounts, they most likely are going to immediately go down. No question about it. Now, on the other side, people ask, well, will my credit card rates go down? Well, let's be real clear. If you have a credit card that you're keeping a balance on, it's already way too high. It's 22, 23, potentially more than that. And a quarter of a point is not going to make that big of a difference. You got to get those credit cards paid off. But yes, savers are going to see their high yield savings accounts not paying quite as much.
So how can we prepare our finances, Mark, if inflation spikes?
Yeah. Well, the thing about inflation is, yes, it's down. We talk about it a lot, and it's down. Ooh, that's great. Why doesn't it feel better? Many families are still struggling. Well, here's the reason, because inflation's down, but what that actually means is prices just aren't going up as quickly as they were. It doesn't mean prices are down. Maybe egg prices and maybe fuel, but nothing else is down. And in fact, we had 5 years of out of control inflation. Not transitory, real hard, out of control inflation, and prices are sky high. So that's why it's still so hard for families right now, because yes, inflation's coming back in line, but it doesn't mean the prices came down.
Yeah, something we see every day, don't we?
Absolutely, it's hard.
We know that well. Yeah, it is hard. We know that well. So for those who are just tuning in and maybe catching the back half of this, Mark, and their big question is, on news of interest rates going down, they want to know how they can benefit. So what would you say to consumers on how they can benefit from this rate cut?
Right. So the reality is this, is we get so much involved in headlines like the rates coming down and all. Well, you have to be the one in charge of your finances. You have to be in control of them. What I mean by that is getting in a confident financial future. And the way you do that is regardless of what rates do, because they're out of our control. I felt like they should have been cut months ago. Many people did. But we have to control where our dollars go, and the easiest way to do that is to understand where your spending is at. Because so many families are finding it struggling right now. They're looking for some relief, hoping it comes through the Fed. Well, we may see home loans go down a little bit or something. That could help. Maybe the credit card rates come down a little bit. But the first place is to get your house in order. Do you actually know where your money's going? You're being paid. Do you know where every dollar is going? You have to learn to control your dollars. And then when things like this happen, which can be good news, I certainly want it, and it is good news, markets may go up, well, then you can take advantage of things like that. But it all starts with having a confident financial future by knowing where your dollars are being spent up front.
It's not a place to have mystery, is it?
It's not. It's really not. And so we look for these things to make a big impact in our lives. But unfortunately, the biggest impact we could make is being prepared for things like this.
Sure. I'm going to guess one of the big steps with that, you know, is to have someone that's helping you to manage your money. And I've talked to a lot of people about this, and you know, we asked for questions from viewers, and so many say, you know, well, I don't really have much. I don't have much saved. I don't make much in my salary. But what would you say to them to, you know, maybe look into having someone look over things with you and just to get some help?
Right. Or even doing things like loud budgeting. And I hate the word budget, but loud spending plan. And what that means is getting your family and your friends involved in what you're trying to accomplish. The idea of having success in American wealth is still possible for everybody. But you have to learn to control what you have. So I hear all the time, well, I can't save. I can't. Well, I don't want to argue with someone. If they believe they can't, then I guess I'm going to have to choose to believe them. I believe they can. They can do it the same way millions have done, which is you have to identify where the money's going, cut out the things, maybe take on a part-time job to get yourself out of student loans, high-interest credit card debts. You have to prepare for the emergencies by having 3 to 6 months of emergency money in those high-yield savings accounts and actually get control of your finances. And so, yes, there are plenty of apps, websites, financial professionals to help you, but also don't not have family involved or friends. It's really easy when you get friends involved and say, hey, I know you want us to go out Friday night, but we're doing this thing called loud budgeting. We're getting on a plan. And so, you know, we're going to take a pass, but if you want to come over, come over.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm so glad you mentioned that, Mark. Really quickly before we're out of time here, how can folks reach out to you for information if maybe they've got some questions about their finances?
Sure. We have all kinds of apps and links on our website at Alloy, A-L-L-O-Y, wealth.com. It's the easiest way. There's a lot of tools on there that you can use for free. We don't charge for that. Just go on there and use the tools that are out there.
All right. Mark Henry, founder and CEO of Alloy Wealth Management, helping us out this morning. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We sure do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Our time is 11:39, and we are back right after this. Georgia State University is getting a major boost to its stargazing capabilities. With the help of a grant, this upgrade will allow researchers and students worldwide to explore the universe in what they're calling unprecedented detail. So we have our Chris Rosenthal, who is joining us from GSU, just to break down more on the telescope and how this grant will improve things even more. So Chris, good morning. Good to see you.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I'm over here at Georgia State, and you know, I didn't know until I saw something about it up to about a month or so ago that Georgia State actually has some telescopes, some of the most powerful and sophisticated telescopes out in California. It's actually 6 telescopes. It's an array of telescopes called CHARA, and Georgia State just got a grant, $1.39 million grant from the National Science Foundation to improve these telescopes. They've had them for about 20 years or so. And I'm joined by Professor Douglas Guise to talk about these telescopes. He's an astronomy and physics professor. Talk to me about CHARA. Talk to me about what are these telescopes? What makes them so special?
Thanks, Chris. Welcome to Georgia State. Yeah, to get a sense of why these telescopes in California are so special, I brought along today a traditional telescope. This is one for looking at the sun. It's a bit overcast at the moment, but basically, if we want to look at something like the sun, a small telescope like this works fine. But space is huge. So we've got a helicopter going over. And because of that, stars look very tiny. The next closest star to the sun is about 200,000 times further away, which means it appears in the sky about 200,000 times smaller.
Yeah.
Astronomers would love to see what stars look like, but to do that, you need a telescope that's much, much, much bigger than this. And in fact, so big that it would be billions of dollars. So Georgia State astronomers decided the best way to do this is, in fact, instead of having one big telescope, to have 6 individual telescopes that can act together like one enormous big telescope. And that's what we have in California, about 2,000 miles west of here, just north of Los Angeles in the San Gabriel Mountains. Beautiful location, great skies. We can see the stars magnificently, and we can begin to make pictures of what they actually look like.
And you were telling me, you know, a telescope like this is, you know, it's a couple inches, but that telescope, it's effectively like like having a lens at several football fields, huh?
That's exactly right. The separation of the largest telescopes is about 3 football fields. Yeah. So how good is that? Well, if the Atlanta Braves were playing on the moon, the CHARA array would be able to just pick out the numbers on the backs of their jerseys.
Wow.
So very, very, very tiny detail, but that's what's needed to look at the stars. For example, we just completed a project looking at the North Star. Mm-hmm. Many of your listeners and viewers will have been outside to see the Polaris, the North Star.
And I think we have some pictures of this, too, that we could show as well. So,
wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable star in its own right. It's a very old star. Mm-hmm. It's grown big over time. Mm-hmm. And with the CHARA array, we've been able to make the first picture of what it actually looks at. It also has a little tiny star that orbits around it about every 35 years. And we were able to map out the orbit of that. All this is really helpful. If we can watch how things go around each other, we can actually figure out how massive they are, how big they are. We found out that Polaris is a star that's about 5 times as big as the mass of our sun. Wow. An enormous, huge star. It's also a star that pulsates in and out over time. Wow. So we've been able to learn about its special characteristics. It's one that's fairly close by. The furthest thing we've seen away is 60 million light years. It's in a faraway galaxy that has a bright, supermassive black hole, and we've been able to watch gas clouds swirling around the center of that black hole.
Now, this grant that you guys got, this will allow you to see even more stars and see a much better resolution. Talk to me about that.
That's right. We've been very fortunate in having collaborators around the world who've built special cameras that we can use at the CHARA array. And we have ones that work in the infrared light that our eyes can't see. We have a new one that works in the visible band that our eyes can see. And we'd like to have them all work together. And this new grant from the National Science Foundation is going to allow us to build the equipment that will be able to see the stars at all these colors simultaneously. And it's a bit like going from black and white TV to color TV or low def to high definition imaging of seeing what the stars are going to look like close up. So we're very excited about it. It's going to run about 3 years. We hope any of your listeners who get to Mount Wilson would love to show it to you.
Cool. And just real quick, you think you'll find life out there?
Yes. I think it's a really big universe. Lots of possibilities. Maybe so.
Well, there you go. We are at Georgia State, and some new developments, possibly new discoveries with that $1.3 million grant for the Chara telescope array in California.
Yeah, pretty cool to hear from him. I love that that was the last question that you asked him. I thought that was pretty perfect, but pretty fitting too that this is at GSU. I think this is something folks probably didn't know was there, but what a treasure there, Chris.
Yeah, I had no idea either that that we had this this powerful astronomy program here, and telescope access to these, one of the most powerful telescopes in the world. So.
Pretty amazing, and good to hear that that grant will help it go even further. So, all right, Chris, thank you so much for bringing us this today. We appreciate it. Still ahead for you this morning on Fox Local. Hurricane Gabriel is churning in the Atlantic right now, a Category 4 hurricane. So we're speaking with an expert next. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're talking extreme weather this morning, and one of the things that it's on a lot of people's radar. We're talking Hurricane Gabriel churning in the Atlantic as a monster Category 4 hurricane. So national forecasters also monitoring a few other areas as well. So joining us this morning, we have Dr. Alonzo Plow. He's the Chief Science Officer at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, joining us to talk more about this. So Dr. Plow, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Happy to be with you today.
So this is the timing of this is pretty perfect. It is National Preparedness Month. So, I mean, let's talk about what's happening weather-wise. It's been a pretty active year when it comes to weather.
Yeah, it's been a very active year. We've had some of the hottest temperatures globally in the United States in decades. The impact of climate change on health through heat, through extreme weather events, hurricanes, the warming of the ocean, which makes hurricanes take up more water, which makes them super powerful. Those are all the kinds of changes and events we've seen this year.
So for those wondering, why is this? What would you say is the explanation behind some of this extreme weather that we've had this year, and really just in the last few years? It's been pretty wild.
It's the increasing effect of climate change and global warming on extreme weather. Again, sometimes it's hard to understand, for everybody to understand, like, what does it mean for the ocean to rise by 1.7 degrees? Well, that's a substantial amount of rise in temperature. And that, as I was just saying, if the water is hotter, the hurricanes hold more water, and therefore the hurricanes are more frequent and stronger. And we saw last last year that a Gulf Coast hurricane, Helene, caused flooding all the way inland into middle of North Carolina. So these hurricanes are going to affect more than just the coastal areas because they affect flooding inland. And again, hottest summer on record this year, and the impact of heat, particularly on vulnerable populations, the very young, elderly, folks who have a pre-existing health condition, diabetes. Heat actually affects safe birth. Data shows that there are more poor birth outcomes on heat days. So again, these weather changes related to climate change have real-time impacts to all of us and all our communities.
Dr. Plow, it's hard to believe it's been a year since Hurricane Helene caused so much destruction that we saw across Georgia, across the Carolinas as well. So many people are still recovering. Do you have any advice for those that still find themselves in that situation?
Well, I was a public health official for many years, and so, it's really important when the cameras go off after the initial event. We have to recognize the recovery takes a long time. What is concerning to us now is the diminished role that FEMA has had in the current administration. I mean, FEMA is an asset that helps local communities through the recovery period, through the time to rebuild your home. The long-term community impact, even as when I was a public health official, the long-term mental health pack of losing your possessions or unfortunately lives lost takes a long, long time, years and years after the event itself. So it's really important, particularly for the federal government now, to be increasing its resources to state and local government, to public health, to emergency preparedness, to the National Weather Service, to make sure that our neighbors and our communities are protected and have the resources they need for these long recovery periods.
Yeah. Dr. Plow, we have about a minute left. Tell us about the work that's being done with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, if you can.
Well, we're doing a lot of things to bring about the awareness that climate change is not a political issue. The science is really clear. It affects all of us, and we're trying to work on community solutions on this one. We're working in the Gulf states, connecting community members to researchers to do the kind of things that they can do to protect their environments, strengthen river levees, and develop more appropriate responses to emergencies that protect people, particularly vulnerable people in our communities. So we're raising awareness, research that shows the impact on climate change and health, and information and data, particularly at a time when some of the government data has been taken down so that there are early warning systems that protect our communities.
Dr. Alonzo Plow, Chief Science Officer at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, talking extreme weather with us this morning. Dr. Plow, thank you so much for your time, and we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We want to get you back out now to a water main break. This came in as some breaking news a little bit earlier in the show. This is in Buckhead, Howell Mill, and in Roberta, we've got our Tim Whaley, who is out there with a live look for us. So tell us what you're seeing, Tim, and any indication on how long this may take to get fixed.
Good morning, Elise. How are you doing today? Yes, I'm out here in Buckhead on Howell Mill Road in Roberta. Yes, there is a water main break. I'll try to zoom in a little bit, see if we can see some of the water coming out. They are not too sure how long this will happen or how long it will be before they repair the break, but officials are kind of concerned about the traffic coming through Howell Mill. This is a thoroughway for MARTA, and they are concerned that this is going to impede the traffic coming in for MARTA being able to pick up. If you are happening to traveling this route, they encourage you to find a detour and go around this because there is still no ETA on when this is going to be fixed.
Looking at that area and seeing, you know, the water that's still coming out right there. It looks like there's still some work to do, but the area looks familiar in that I feel like we've seen this happen there before. And as we're taking this live look, we see some cars that are trying to work their way around to then it looks like maybe do a U-turn and head back the other way. So an area you mentioned that MARTA buses travel on this street. This is it looks residential, but there are some the impact on traffic, I think, is what we can expect to see. So making way through the water, we're seeing there as they attempt to fix this water main break. So Tim, live for us this morning there at that water main break in Buckhead, Howell Mill and Roberta. Tim, thank you so much for the live look. We appreciate it. And remember, you can take us on the go with you as you're headed out and about. 107.9 HD2 FM is where you can find us for the very latest news and weather. You can also catch Fox 5 News at noon here in just a few minutes, but we hope you have a great Tuesday. Thanks for joining us.
These are the two things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much.
President Trump shows no love to the United Nations. We have his strong message for world leaders all gathered in his hometown. And right now, South Fulton's mayor is sitting in court waiting for his